Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we cut through the noise, unpack the stories that matter, and try to find those real nuggets of knowledge for you. Today, we're taking, I think, a really fascinating plunge into something vital but maybe often overlooked, how housing associations are transforming their employee experience. Our mission, really, is to pull back the curtain on some actual success stories and pull out the insights you can use, whatever field you're in.
Absolutely. And this sector, housing associations, it offers such rich learning. It's not just about, well, basic job satisfaction. We're talking about creating an environment where teams feel genuinely heard, valued, and empowered, because that directly impacts how they serve residents.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, think about it. A disengaged team, what's the knock-on effect for the community they're there to support? So understanding your team, really listening, it's just foundational.
It's a powerful point. You wonder how many places miss that direct link. Internal culture, external impact. So to make this really concrete, we're looking at three specific examples today: BHA, WCHG, and Broadacres.
Yeah.
These aren't just theories. They face common challenges, got pretty significant results. So let's unpack it. Okay, let's kick things off with BHA. Now, for lots of housing associations, employee engagement, it can feel a bit like hitting a moving target, right?
Yeah.
What sort of typical challenges were organizations like BHA facing when it came to really, truly understanding their people?
Yeah, it's a familiar story across the sector, really. Many associations historically relied on maybe traditional annual surveys or perhaps infrequent feedback methods. The problem is those methods can create huge blind spots. You get a snapshot, maybe, but it's hard to get that granular day-to-day feeling.
Or you miss the emerging trends.
Exactly. Spotting things early, measuring if your initiatives are actually landing. It's tough. Leaders often want to listen genuinely, but they lack the, let's say, robust tools to do it systematically. And that leads to missed chances for improvement. Simple as that.
That makes a lot of sense, like trying to navigate with an old paper map instead of, live GPS. So given that landscape, how did BHA approach tackling these engagement issues? What was their strategy?
Well, what's interesting is how deliberate BHA were. They didn't just, send out another survey and hope for the best. They leveraged a proper, structured feedback platform, Hive surveying, to systematically collect insights. That gave them consistency, actionable data.
Okay, so the right tool was step one.
Yes, but the real game changer, I think, was bringing in dedicated employee voice coaches. These aren't just data analysts. They guided BHA's whole strategy, helped them interpret the results, dig in root causes, and crucially, turn insights into actual action plans. It was that blend, sophisticated tech and expert human guidance, that really made the difference.
A smart combination. The tech and the human insight. But okay, talk results. What did this focus actually do for BHA? What was the tangible impact?
The outcomes were genuinely impressive. First off, BHA hit an 80% survey response rate.
Wow, 80%. That's huge.
It's outstanding. Think about it. 4 out of 5 employees actively taking part. That signals real trust in the process itself. It means the data they got back was truly representative, not just a vocal minority.
Yeah, that's a solid foundation.
And maybe even more telling, they achieved a significant plus 20 eNPS result. Now, eNPS, the Employee Net Promoter Score, it's a really powerful measure of loyalty and advocacy. Are your people willing to recommend this as a place to work? A plus 20 score indicates a really strong positive sentiment, suggests a good chunk of their employees aren't just satisfied, they're actively promoting the workplace.
An 80% response rate and plus 20 eNPS. Yeah, those aren't small numbers. Definitely shows a shift. Okay, let's pivot now to WCHG. They also wanted to boost their employee experience, but it sounds like they took an even broader approach. What were their starting points? The challenges they aimed to solve that led them to such a, comprehensive set of solutions.
Well, many organizations, and especially ones like WCHG that are so deeply connected to community service, they recognize that an engaged team isn't just nice. It directly affects their ability to deliver for residents.
Core mission stuff.
Exactly. So WCHG likely realized that, sporadic feedback just wasn't cutting it anymore. They needed to move past the annual check-in. They needed to build a continuous dialogue, create a culture where people felt heard all the time, valued consistently. The challenge was, how do you build that always-on listening strategy? Make it part of the daily fabric.
That makes perfect sense. How do you go from those snapshots to a constant pulse? So what was this comprehensive suite WCHG put in place? How did they ensure that continuous dialogue?
WCHG took what you might call a truly holistic view, an ecosystem approach, really. So naturally, they used Hive surveying for that structured periodic feedback, got those essential benchmarks.
Okay, the baseline.
But they didn't stop there. They brought in open door, that's for continuous, always-on feedback, so employees could share thoughts, ideas, concerns whenever they arose. An immediate, accessible channel.
Ah, so breaking down those time barriers.
Precisely. And to foster positivity and daily appreciation, they introduced high fives for peer-to-peer recognition, colleagues celebrating each other.
Nice. Building culture.
And then for efficient communication, making sure messages got through, they used Hive Messenger. And crucially, just like BHA, all of this was supported by employee voice coaches, helping them synthesize data from all these different streams and turn it into coherent strategy.
That sounds incredibly well thought out. A whole system, not just disparate tools.
Sure.
So the big question again, what were the specific results? What did WCHG see from integrating all these pieces?
Their results were, well, nothing short of remarkable. Really shows the power of that multifaceted approach. WCHG achieved an astonishing plus 44 eNPS score.
Plus 44.
Plus 44. To put that in perspective, that is incredibly strong. It speaks volumes about employee loyalty, advocacy. It suggests a workforce that feels deeply connected, proud, positive about where they work. Huge implications for retention, recruitment, everything.
Wow. I mean, plus 44, that's top tier.
It really is. And they also maintained a very high 78% survey response rate, again, reinforcing that trust. Employees engage because they believe their voice leads to action.
A plus 44 eNPS and 78% response. Truly impressive. Makes you think about the environment they've built there. Okay, let's turn now to our third case study, Broadacres. What about them? What challenges were they grappling with in their employee strategy?
Well, it shows that even highly strategic organizations, like Broadacres clearly is, can still face hurdles. Sometimes the challenge isn't a lack of effort, maybe, but a lack of clarity. They might have insights, but maybe they're not deep enough or representative enough to drive really confident strategic moves.
So needing sharper focus, perhaps.
Potentially, yes. Broadacres, like others, likely saw the need to move beyond assumptions about how employees felt. They needed clearer, data-driven insights to really hone their strategy. It's about making sure every voice counts, right? And ensuring the organization can adapt based on what people are actually experiencing day to day.
So how did Broadacres approach this? How did they strategically go about improving things and making sure it linked up with their wider goals?
Broadacres understood that need for reliable data. So they also used a structured feedback platform, Hive surveying, to gather those vital employee insights. What seems distinct here is how deeply they integrated this feedback into their overall organizational strategy. It wasn't siloed in HR.
Ah, so it was a business-wide thing.
Exactly. It became a core input for how they understood and evolved the organization. And similar to the others, they got that essential support from employee voice coaches, helping make sense of the feedback, ensuring it directly informed strategic choices and led to, well, meaningful change.
And the results for Broadacres?
Yeah.
What specific outcome really signaled success for them after these initiatives?
For Broadacres, the key outcome highlighted was a very concrete improvement, a 27% increase in survey response rates.
Okay, a 27% increase, so building on whatever they had before.
Precisely. Now, you might think response rate, just a number, but it's incredibly important. This metric directly hits the reliability, the representativeness of your data. A higher response rate means Broadacres gained a much more accurate, more comprehensive view of their workforce. It shrinks those blind spots we talked about earlier.
Makes the insights more solid, more actionable.
Absolutely. More informed decision-making. And it signals that increase in trust and engagement from employees in the whole feedback process itself. They're leaning in more.
Wow. Okay, 3 distinct journeys. BHA, WCHG, Broadacres, but all showing impressive progress. So let's pull this together. If you're leading a housing association, or frankly any organization listening to this, what does it all mean for you? What are the key takeaways, the actionable things people can apply?
That's the crucial bit, isn't it? If we boil it down, I think 5 core principles really shine through from these stories. First, you need robust and diverse ways of gathering feedback. Generic tools, annual surveys alone, they often miss the point. You need effective channels, structured surveys, yes, but also maybe continuous feedback loops like that open door idea, making it easy and safe for people to speak up.
Makes total sense. Open up the channels, make them varied. Okay, what's number 2?
Second, high response rates are absolutely critical. They're not just vanity metrics like we saw with BHA's 80% and WCHG's 78%. Strong participation shows employees trust the process. They believe their input matters.
Yeah, it validates the data.
It validates the data, yes. It leads to far more accurate insights for reflects the whole workforce, not just a vocal subgroup. And that builds confidence in the decisions you make based on that data.
Okay, good point. And you mentioned eNPS quite a bit. That's takeaway number 3.
It is. Third takeaway. Recognize that eNPS is a powerful metric. It measures loyalty, advocacy, those scores we saw, the +20 at BHA, the amazing +44 at WCHG. They aren't just abstract numbers. They indicate a genuinely proud, engaged workforce. And high eNPS usually links directly to better retention, better service, stronger culture overall. It's a pulse check on that emotional connection.
So get the feedback channels right, aim for high response, use powerful metrics like eNPS. What else? Seems like the tools themselves matter.
They do. That's point 4. The value of specialized tools. Purpose-built solutions platforms designed for surveying, for continuous feedback, for peer recognition, for internal communication. They give you deeper, more actionable insights than generic stuff. They're designed for employee voice, asking the right questions, surfacing the right data, getting diagnostic info. Moves you beyond just anecdotes to actual evidence.
Right, using the right tool for the specific job. And finally, it sounded like the human element was key too.
Absolutely. The 5th takeaway, and maybe one of the most critical, the role of employee voice coaches. Expert guidance helps organizations make sense of complex data, develop clear, targeted strategies, and this is key: implement changes that actually resonate with people. It's that human translation layer, turning raw data into real understanding and understanding into impactful action. That often makes all the difference. It's not just tech, it's tech plus expertise.
This has been a really insightful deep dive. It really reveals how profound the impact of focusing properly on employee voice can be. It clearly touches everything: engagement, culture, and ultimately better outcomes for the communities these associations serve.
Indeed it does. Which leads to the question, really, what could your organization discover if you truly committed not just to listening to every voice, but to translating that listening into meaningful, measurable action?
A really thought-provoking question to end on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into employee experience in housing associations. We'll catch you next time.